of the very first things we're all trained to do in sales is handle customers' objections, or if you prefer, customers' questions and concerns. In fact, one of the first assignments as a subject matter expert that I received in supporting a sales team back many years ago was to provide them with objection handling documents. If you hear this concern, if you hear this objection, here are the words you should say in response to hopefully allay those concerns. In doing so, we tend to turn objection handling into this sort of rote exercise. You hear this concern, you say these words. And we tend to overlook the fact that objections really kind of come in two very different sorts of flavors. So things like, we're already working with a different partner, and so I'm not sure that we need your capabilities in this space because it would be duplicative. Or, have you really implemented this solution in a company of our size? Do you really have sufficient support staff to really meet our needs? These are all kind of customers' concerns about your capabilities, and that's usually where we'd answer, of course, with some bit better, deeper, more fully developed explanation of our capabilities. Here's why our solution is different. Here's how we've helped other companies like you. Here's the steps we'll take to align to meet your needs. But there's a whole other category of customer objections or customer concerns where those kinds of responses not only are not really appropriate or effective, they actually kind of demonstrate, they could actually be damaging, particularly because they just demonstrate you're not really listening. So these would be concerns that have nothing to do with you at all, but have everything to do with customers' concerns, not about you, but about themselves. I appreciate all these success stories that you've had with other companies, but I'm just concerned about our ability to implement the solution in our organization, just given how we're wired, because we're just a little bit different here at our company. Or, these kinds of projections, they just seem just a little bit too optimistic for our specific context. Or, I'm just not sure that we're going to see the adoption in our organization that's really going to make this kind of investment worth it. Notice in every one of those cases, there's a strong, almost gravitational pull to say, no, let me tell you how, again, we're different, or we're better, or we're going to help. And so we tend to answer these concerns that customers have about themselves with a story about us. And it's really a misfit, right? Not only is it a misfit, it's a missed opportunity to help customers not feel more confident in us, but to help customers feel more confident in themselves. It's not only, I joke sometimes that the Framemaking sale really is a dating book dressed up as a sales book, because it's not unlike a date where or a relationship where someone might look at you and say, I'm just not sure if I'm ready for this. And you might say, but I'm a great guy, or I'm a great person. And whether or not you're a great person is kind of immaterial to whether or not they feel they're ready or not ready to have a serious commitment or a serious relationship. And so I think that the thing that we could do, at least in sales, whether that this works in dating, I don't know. That's a long time ago for me. But nonetheless, in sales, I think one of the things that we can and probably should do is respond to customers about their concerns about themselves, not with a story about us, but with a story or perspective from other customers like them and the journey that they've gone on to mitigate that risk, to overcome that concern, to navigate that, or maybe to say, here, you're absolutely right. In fact, we talked to 3 companies that ran into the same problem, and 2 of them really struggled exactly like you're concerned about. There's one, however, that did something a little different that we've really learned from. It's been very interesting to find out how they've addressed this concern in a very different way. And so, again, your opportunity here isn't to share more about you, but to share more about your customer. And if you can't talk about the customer specifically, what you can do is talk about other customers like them, giving them the social proof, the confidence not in you, but in themselves, that maybe actually they can do this, that they can see value, that they can navigate their own internal complexity. And so as you think about customer objections, or again, customer concerns, listen very carefully and ask yourself as you hear those, are they really concerned about you and your capabilities, or are they really concerned about themselves and their capabilities? And as you parse that difference, as you listen, ask yourself, what is the appropriate response? Is it a response about me, or is it a response that maybe helps them think differently about them? And that difference can mean everything in their own self-confidence.